Okay, folks. It's your buddy Mike Messier. Mike's Instant Movie Review, Tarot 2024. So basically, I say, should you go see the movie? Should you go not? And then I give you a fair and ample warning that the spoilers are coming. There's not spoilers yet. So the thing to do, folks, is if you're sitting here thinking, should I watch this guy's review? See what I think first, see if I say you should see the movie or not, then decide what you're going to do. If you decide to go see the movie, you can put this on pause. You can come back later and compare notes. And if you decide, hey, maybe I won't even see this movie, then you've got nothing to lose by listening to my review or even watching it. So let's talk about Tarot. Should you see it? Should you not? I think that if you're a horror fan, this is a marginal go see. I mean, I do think it's entertaining enough. I think it's good enough to be enjoyed. I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it's an all time classic. If you're not a horror fan, I don't think this thing is going to make you a horror fan, or it's not such a great film. It's not a classic. It's not a Rosemary's Baby or The Exorcist, where it stands alone as just a movie that anybody could get into. On the other hand, it's not so gory or horrific or violent, or even psychologically traumatizing, that if you're a sensitive person, I think you could probably see this movie and be okay. It really had the feel of like kind of a mid to late 80s or even 90s, bunch of kids get in trouble with some type of wizard or some type of demon type of movie. It felt kind of like a throwback movie. At the same time, the movie starts and it feels very modern because this bunch of kids is kind of sitting around a campfire and they're taking selfies and they're playing up to their own little video cameras. And there's a girl in the movie in the opening scene that uses the word literally twice when she doesn't have to. I think she's describing the mansion that they've rented for the weekend, and she says, "You've literally rented a mansion," or I think she says, "You've rented a literal mansion." Now, you could just say you've rented a mansion. It's the exact same meaning that you've rented a literal mansion. There's no need to say that's a fucking literal mansion because it's a mansion. So anyway, but the movie's like I said, it's enjoyable. It's not um, anything different really. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we see in other movies, the jump scares, the creepy floorboards, all the stuff that you like in horror films. A bunch of annoying people in their early 20s getting killed off one by one. I mean, if anything, at least this movie doesn't make any pretense to be anything other than what it is. It's not trying to be high art. It's not trying to be controversial, really. It's just, hey, here's a bunch of bratty kids and let's start killing them. And so that's fine. I mean, so for what it was, I thought Tarot was pretty good. The acting, it's not that great. It's not that bad. The one lady that I had seen in something or two, Harriet Slater, I guess she's kind of an up and comer in the Hollywood circles. She's in this thing. One thing about the cast that I thought, I mean, they're obviously going for the celebrate diversity, as we used to say, or cultural uh, paradigm. Everybody's included, which is great. The couple, though, Haley and her boyfriend in this movie, I have to look it up. I couldn't remember all these names. Grant. At the beginning of the movie, their friends are saying that this couple is just bound to get married because they get along so well. I didn't really see the chemistry with these two, either, or maybe specifically the actors playing Haley and Grant. I didn't see any big time chemistry. I mean, they just looked like two people that weren't on the same page, both as the actors and the characters. I just didn't get it. I didn't see this awesome chemistry. It really just seemed like a peculiar pairing that wasn't working for me. And they're supposed to be the emotional crux relationship in this whole horror film, is they start off, they're this couple that everyone says is such a great couple, but they're having a fight, they're having a tiff, they've broken up, and then by the end of the movie, through the stress of all their fucking, I guess I'll get into it now, spoilers, through the stress of all their friends dying off one by one, being killed by this crazy witch, the couple is coming back together because they're fighting through adversity, and they're fighting through the demon, literally, of this witch. So I just didn't buy them as a couple. I mean, they just didn't seem on the same page, like I said, as far as actors, as far as characters. They weren't written well together, and they weren't performed well together, in my opinion. So I just didn't buy into it. And in some regard, the group of friends, there was nobody that was bad. It just seemed like such an eclectic group of people. It was hard to really pinpoint, besides all being around the same age, and I'm assuming they were supposed to be college kids on a college break. Um, they didn't seem like they had that much in common, or they didn't seem like a bunch of people. Like if you looked at the Jersey Shore cast, and I know that's a reality TV show, but that looks like a bunch of friends. And this group in this movie, it just looked too much like, okay, we need the sort of bisexual chubby guy. We need like the different every ethnic group representation. There's kind of a snobby one, but not really. I don't know. It just didn't feel like this was a bunch of people that had anything in common. Besides, they were just people in a movie thrown together as friends, but they didn't feel like friends. Quite honestly, I just don't. I didn't buy it. I didn't buy that this group was actually a peer group. It didn't feel that way to me. It felt like a people thrown together in a movie, which is what it is, of course, but still, it wasn't convincing to me that the group of friends was a group of friends. I just no one individually was a bad performance or a bad actor or anything. I thought the same guy in the couple, um, the boyfriend guy, he was a, to be honest with you. Uh, so what else? The movie kind of, it felt, when it started, I felt like this was going to feel like kind of low budgety or just kind of cheesy or pieced together. Oddly enough, the movie kind of grew on me, and the kills, which is always big in horror, and the special effects and everything actually seemed to improve with the movie. And the other thing that I did like about the movie, it was a very concise 90 minutes. I wasn't in the theater all night. I did have a choice of which movie to see. The other choice was actually going to be The Phantom Menace. And I asked the young ticket taker or the ticket seller at the theater, I said, "How long is The Phantom Menace? Is that 2 hours?" And she said, "No, it's three." And I just said, "Oh, God." Like I actually said that out loud. I was disgusted because I didn't like the movie the first time I saw it. I'm talking about The Phantom Menace now, Star Wars Phantom Menace. So I said, I'm not going to go in there for 3 hours with Jar Jar Binks, and knowing what happened to that whole cast of the Phantom Menace, the guy that played Jar Jar tried to kill himself, and the kid that played the young Anakin had a horrible life, and all these horrible things happened to these people. So, and I said, man, I'd rather just go see this 90-minute tarot horror film than Star Wars Phantom Menace. I'm not buying into this May 4th crap. You're putting a movie that I didn't like the first time on the big screen, trying to convince me that I'm going to like it, and I'm just not buying into it, Star Wars. So sorry. But with this, Tarot, I thought was decent. I mean, I don't, like I said, it's not a classic. It's not something that I need to rush out and see again. But 4 or 5 years from now, if I stumble fuck upon it on the cable or whatever the fuck, I'd watch it, I guess. Um, and I thought the movie was fine. I could see this becoming a sequel thing. I could see. I don't know if there's going to be a huge demand for sequels for this movie, but typically with some of these studios, if they feel like they can make $1 with a sequel or a prequel or whatever, they will. And I think Tarot probably marginally has put itself on the map now as a franchise for horror. I think they might have to up the stakes if they do go back and make another one. Maybe one good thing they could do is that they did open some possibilities for prequels and sequels and stuff like that. They made references to other situations with this tarot cards, this exact deck that's kind of behind me. So they could do like sequels. They don't necessarily have to revisit the people in this one because I don't think there's many left as far as the kids that are, most of them are dead. And the ones that lived, I don't think were that terribly engrossing. So, I mean, the deck of cards could go somewhere else. They could visit this story from London in 1988. That would probably be really an interesting story. I think they can go in some different places. Speaking of places, once again, the preview for A Quiet Place Day One was shown again last night. So I'll go see that because A Quiet Place and the Conjuring films have really been my favorite horror franchises over the last 5 or 6 or 7 years. So I'm happy to see another Quiet Place movie coming out. Um, but for this, like I said, I'm not going to complain too much. It was a decent horror film, not an instant classic, not something that you have to see. If you want to go see it, go see it. If you're looking for something to do, if you're a horror fanatic that has to see everything, go see it, sure. But if you don't happen to see it, you'll be fine. You'll go to sleep at night and you'll wake up the next day and your life will pretty much be the same. It's not going to change things for you. It's not going to change your station in life. Not that a fucking movie should, but some movies do feel like you get changed a little bit. You see Pulp Fiction for the first time, you feel a little different. You see Highlander, you feel a little different. Even things in more recent years. I mean, Top Gun Maverick, I always felt a little bit invigorated after seeing that movie 5 times. My favorite movie from last year, 2023. Of course, no, not Covenant. Was it called Covenant? I think it was called Covenant. The Jake Gyllenhaal kind of war movie. That's a great movie, but this one, Tarot, this is what you would just say, hey, this is a fun thing to see. I saw it. It's not that complicated. Um, I mean, I think they should be proud that they made a decent movie. I'm trying to remember where it was filmed because I think it says here on Wikipedia it was filmed in the United States. I thought it was filmed somewhere else. I'm trying to think if there's anything like that really stood out. I mean, there did seem to be a few little potholes or plot holes, plot holes, but nothing that we couldn't get past. And that's it. So, I mean, look, if you're a horror fan, tarot is not going to kill you. It's not going to change your life. But then again, it's not bad either. So there you go. So Mike's Instant Movie Review. Sorry, this was not the best instant movie review. I have had some technical difficulties with my equipment recently, as you may or may not know. But I think within 24 hours, that should be hopefully resolved, and we'll be back in full swing here on Mike's Instant Movie Review on one Mike Messier, one pro wrestling and sports fan, one pro wrestling and sports fan, and one man in the camera films, one artist, Mike Messier. All my wonderful YouTube channels, MikeMessier.com. You can go to my website. You can buy my books or not, and you can stand me on social or not. So, folks, hope you have a wonderful week. It's only Monday, so we got the whole week to screw up. Mike Messier.